Hi, welcome back to GCS Custom Sabers, and I've just completed this latest custom commission. I was asked to design and build a Viking or Norse themed two-handed saber hilt, so something that was beefy and made for two-handed wielding and had some Norse or Viking design cues and elements. You can see here in the pommel and in the emitter is a Celtic knot style etching pattern that I've devised and then etched into the aluminum. So it's got a texture to it, as you can see, and not just a pattern in the metal or a paint, but it's actually deeply etched in there. And then I've also under the brass powder coating here etched a text in ancient Futhark runes that says, loosely translated, "Guardian and Warrior," which was a request of the client. So I'll give you a rundown of how the saber operates and its function. It's a really high-end GCS Custom Sabers Elite. I only take on a few of these commissions every year because there's so much work involved in them, as you will see. But first and foremost to the operation of the saber. The saber is made for dueling, made to be smashed around with your friends. As all my high-end sabers, I really strive to make them elegant and well-designed, but also really solidly built for dueling. So to operate the saber, as with all my high-end sabers, there's a kill key, and when it's pulled, it exposes the 2.1mm recharge port and acts as a kill key. So you'll hear the saber boot up. So now the saber is active and ready. The activation button, the auxiliary button, kind of on the flip side like a trigger. I'm going to put a blade in it just so that you can better see the effect. There's the blade retention screw, which you want to do finger tight so the blade doesn't go flying out and through someone's window. One tap on the activation brass button activates the saber. This is my hero font, which comes standard with the Crystal Focus version 7. So there's also a bar graph window with an animated bar graph. It's all 8 segments, actually 7. No, this is a 4-segment bar graph, and the reason I'll explain in a moment. You'll see there's also an inside crystal chassis that's lit with the other 4 accent LEDs. And of course the auxiliary button for the blaster block. Lock up, and you've got the swing and clash sounds. If you hold the auxiliary button down, you get a bar graph, a power level meter, showing it's got two or three bars of 4, giving you an idea of how far down the battery is. Hold the button down, you get the blade goes down. To switch fonts, it's really simple to do. Hold down the auxiliary button.
Sound bank selection.
Now you're in the menu. So you toggle. You can toggle all the different sound fonts. Go to Fates. It's a good blue font. Power it on. It's a nice blue. So that's how to operate this saber. Turn the saber off. I'm going to pull the blade out, and I'm going to show you now the internals of this saber, because I've spent a lot of time not just on the outside of the saber with the design, but also on the inside of the saber. You may also notice I didn't point out before that the saber is weathered. It's got what Vader's Vault would call like a 10-foot weathering. I really like that distinction. From 10 feet away you might not notice, but anywhere closer than 10 feet you realize there's some the metal's worn and weathered, and there's some carbon deposits in the cracks and things like that. It's not a lot of weathering, but just a bit, so it looks like it's well used. The saber, the bottom half of the saber comes apart. So with the kill key out, because with the kill key in, you'd actually pinch it when you're turning it. So with the kill key always out, you want to grab, basically you can grab both grips of the saber and twist. This the brass part is actually a trim ring that will slide in there, but it generally stays with the bottom part of the saber. And once you've got it loosened off, I just thread it off with the pommel, and like I said, the trim ring stays. And you can see it's got a chassis with the crystal focus and a quartz crystal. This is actually a machined aluminum and powder coated chassis in fitting with the worn nature of the saber. It looks well used, and there's some deposits in there. And I'll do a close-up in a moment of the crystal in there and the brass tubes, which all the wires are run through. I think there's like 11 or 12 different wires that are run through. They're all disguised and hidden through the chassis. So this is just a close-up of the internals, the crystal chassis. As you can see, the wires are all run through the brass tubes, and there's some mild weathering inside the chassis and the crystal setting. It's pulsing whatever the blade color pulses. and it is a Tibetan quartz, 100% genuine quartz crystal. Really well designed chassis, really solid. So it's even outside of the saber, it's not going to get bashed around. You can reach in and you can touch the crystal. I wouldn't recommend pushing on it, you know, but you can touch it and it's nice and solid. The crystal focus is set in here with actually a plastic clip. So when it comes time to change sound fonts, you would put the kill key in, shutting off power to the saber. You can see the accent LEDs are gone. And the crystal focus actually just pops out of this clip so that you can press into the SD card, pop it out, take it out, put it in your computer, make changes, pop it back in, and then when it comes time you rock this crystal focus back into one side of the clip and then back into the other side of the clip, making sure it's nice and level and all the wires are tucked in underneath safely so that when it goes together it's not going to catch on anything. And that's how to operate the SD card. This saber also comes with a rice port, so you can plug in the rice cable, which will be supplied with this saber, into the USB port on your computer. You can make changes to the details of the color tuning, because there's a color extender board up here with the battery, the color tuning of the saber, the flicker, the volume, all kinds of different changes. If you want to see a video showing how to make changes with the rice interface, just click right here. I made a separate video showing how to operate rice. Little things like with the Tri-Cree LED that's in here, maximum ratings on the on the green and the blue LED are 1000 milliamps or 1 amp, so you don't want to exceed 1000. With the red it's 700, so you don't want to exceed 700 milliamps with the red dye on the rice sliders when you're custom tuning the color. Otherwise you could blow out your red dye and that would be very sad. So yeah, this is how the saber operates, and when it's time to put it back together, you pull out the kill key, you hear a boot sound. You want to be careful because the tolerances are quite tight, and slide that on gently, make sure it's not catching on any wires, and that the threads are matching nicely, and then you just start to slowly thread it together. I have a mild lubricant inside the threads of the saber. When you lubricate threads, you never want to use gobs of grease, because that just attracts dust. If you ever lubricate the threads, it's most important to keep them clean. Toothbrush is really handy for that, but you know, using a very, very thin film of grease and wiping off as much as you can with paper towel, just to make sure that they're lubricated, is excellent. So there's the recharge port. It lines up. If it ever doesn't line up, there is a set screw, which I will show you. Should never need to do what I'm about to suggest. But if it ever, for whatever reason, doesn't line up, you know, maybe you left the key in there and just really somebody torqued on it and it became out of alignment, there is a set screw there. You can loosen off that set screw one turn, and then you'll be able to rock this chassis and change the alignment. You don't want to turn it too much, but you can rock it just slightly to bring that back into alignment. Then you want to tighten that set screw with that full turn, and that's how to operate this saber. For warranty purposes, I don't permit taking apart of the emitter end of the saber or releasing the crystal chassis or anything like that. That would void the warranty. But of course, you can take the bottom half of the saber off for making changes, or for putting it in like a nice display mode. If you want to sit it on the shelf like that or like that to show off the crystal. And it is set so that the crystal will pulse whatever color the blade is at the time. And the pulse is set so that it won't go off. The saber, Crystal Focus version 7 can go into a deep sleep mode, but I've turned that off just because the crystal pulsing is a really cool feature. If you want to sit it on a shelf and have it do that for several hours while you have some friends over or whatever, you can do that. If you want to change the sound font, again holding the auxiliary button. So Shoto is a green font, and you'll notice now the crystal is pulsing green. So it's set to pulse with whatever the blade color is of that particular font. This saber is loaded with 9 of my fonts. 7 of them are particularly tuned, specifically tuned for the Crystal Focus version 7 optimized. 2 of them are just my Corban Invader fonts, which I haven't finished optimizing yet, and then the other fonts are just the stock fonts that come with Crystal Focus version 7. So that is this saber and how it operates. I hope the new owner is going to be very pleased with it. Again, thanks for watching.